Hi, Janice.
Hi, Anthony.
Today we're going to answer who will bury me if I have no family. I understand some of these topics can be a little bit of downer, but this exact question is actually very, very frequently Googled. So I'm just trying my best to answer the questions that seem to be out there. And this is definitely an important question for our solo ager listeners, and for anyone whose family is maybe overseas or just not immediately available if something were to happen to you. So we will do our best to answer this today.
So today we will discuss friends, neighbors, community, or distant family, hired professionals, and the public option, which is the pauper's funeral.
Yeah. All right. That's a little bit of a doomsday situation, but I think we should cover it. Okay. So the option that most people think of first is friends, neighbors, or community. And again, remember, we're talking about solo agers here. So the pros of having your friends or neighbors or community, and by community I mean maybe your church or, I don't know, your bridge club, whoever. The pros of having them sort of tend to your burial arrangements is, these are your friends, your neighbors. They probably know your wishes best. And not only do they know your wishes, they probably want to honor you. Like, this is a legit memorial from the ones who care about you. The cons are, I don't know how tight you are with your friends or your church or your neighbors, but it's a burden. It's a big ask of someone to conduct your funeral. So I'm not sure, if that's something you're comfortable asking. I've been on the other side. So I've been the executor or the attorney advising neighbors or somebody who was like, I knew this person, but I didn't know him that well. I was really shocked that they asked me to conduct their funeral, and it's a lot of work. Like, nobody wants to say no, but it is a big ask.
It's a lot to ask of someone, yeah.
And similarly, if you have distant family that you're not so close with, but maybe a nephew, maybe a cousin. So the pro is it is family. It's blood. Somebody who shares your blood. Like, I'm not sure what that word. Yeah. But the cons are, just like with friends, neighbors, and community, it is a big ask for somebody who you may not necessarily be that close with. And if it's a distant family member, then they may not really even know your best wish, your wishes. I mean, they may know what you've written down, but they might not really have a feel for, who you are or what you would have liked, right?
Yeah, the key word there is distant family. If they were not close, they're more distant, and maybe that they don't know you that well.
Yeah, pretty much. So a third option is a hired professional. This can come in a couple of different flavors. It can come in a prepaid funeral plan. I'm not a big fan of those for a couple of reasons, but they do exist. Or it can come in the type of a hired either professional executor or a professional burial agent, which I've done before as a professional executor. I've tended to the final burial and cremation wishes of my clients, and it's been my honor to do that. So the pros of working with a professional is they will reliably execute your wishes. I mean, that's their job. That's what they hired you. You paid them for.
Right.
So you will get somebody who will execute, who will do what you asked. So you kind of, if that's something that puts your mind at ease, knowing it'll get done, and it'll get done by somebody who will be there and who get it handled professionally, perhaps. That's a pro. The drawback might be that it might not feel as intimate as asking a close friend or even a distant family member, because it is sort of a professional relationship. My counter to that, or my response to that is: do you need your friends conducting the funeral or attending it?
Right.
Right. Wouldn't you rather your friends, neighbors, and church members be sort of free to attend, grieve, and mourn, rather than figuring out what is the florist going to be here on time, kind of stuff, and not really being able to focus on your, mourning your passing, right?
Right. When you're saying that, I could just think of like a wedding planner,
Exactly.
Right? Would you ask your friend to plan everything, or just be there and enjoy, or, be in the moment, not so much the person who's executing what you wanted to happen?
Exactly. I mean, it's not a perfect analogy, but it's a similar.
No, but it's the similar concept of what you were just saying makes just a lot of sense. Of someone will execute them, and you can be there to grieve and, be the friend and neighbor.
And there are things, I mean, depending on what the wishes are, such as, perhaps we get this a lot, cremation with spreading the ashes at a certain place. Sorting out the logistics of that can be difficult, but if you want your friend to spread your ashes in, I don't know, Central Park, just making one up, but you don't want to burden them with too much, you can ask your executor or your burial agent to handle everything up to the moment where, I'm calling your friend, hey, everything's ready to go. Are you available Tuesday morning to meet me at Central Park so you can do this? Oh, yes, that works. And then you're still getting your sort of intimate wish done without burdening your friend or family member with the logistics, if that makes sense.
Yes, absolutely.
All right. So the last option of who will bury me if I have no family, and this is kind of a gloomy doomsday version of it. People are curious about what's the sort of final option. What's the total backstop if nothing else is done?
Right.
And it's the public option. It's the pauper's funeral. So if nobody steps forward and there's nobody does anything, then the government has a solution. It's free. I mean, the taxpayer paid for it.
Right.
So there's that as a pro, I guess.
Maybe. Okay.
But the drawback is, I mean, come on, it's in the name. It's the pauper's funeral.
Right.
You are, at least in New York, your remains you'll be buried by prisoners. Actually, that's who the state hires to do this. And Janice, do you remember the movie Amadeus?
I do not.
So the ending of Amadeus is rather famous. Amadeus Mozart, and he died in a pauper's grave. I don't know if you know that, or at least that's what the movie said. If somebody wants to fact check me, that's true. Too. Right. Greatest composer in history. Arguably, died in a canvas sack in a pit with all these other bodies with lime sprinkled on him, and that is a pauper's funeral. So just enjoy that mental image. Because this is the fun podcast, right?
Yeah, it is. It's really uplifting. It's important. And like you said, this is a Googled question very often.
So that,
people have this question.
So, yeah, exactly. So that's why we cover these topics. So, who will bury me? It'll be friends, family, or neighbor. It can be a distant relative, maybe hire a professional to unburden your family. And the option that takes place if you do nothing is the pauper's funeral, which, let's try to avoid that.
Right. Let's go with 1, 2, and 3 before we have to get down there to the last option. If you want to read more about this and other planning for, unfortunately, this time, definitely check out How to Hire an Executor, available on Amazon. There's also the Solo Ager Estate Plan book. That's also very helpful if you're in the situation with no family.
Very good. Thank you, Janice. As always, thanks everyone for listening. Hope these frequently asked questions are helpful to y'all. And we'll talk next time. Bye now.